There can be only one set of lyrics this week. There can be only one song of the week this week. As Rush returns to the stage for the first time in 11 years, and as Fresh Breath prepares to embark upon a Scandinavian adventure, what song is more poignant, more relevant, more apropos than one of my very favorite Rush songs, which is Time Stand Still. I don't have much time this week because, leaving on a jet plane. Got a lot to do. Don't have a whole lot of time for a podcast this week, but I do intend to deliver. I want to talk a little bit about Rush and Anika and Time Stand Still, and I shall attempt to wax semi-eloquent about all of that after we do the thing. I know I have in the past pronounced it Anika Nilles because I have heard that in my travels. I have heard reputable, credible people call her Anika Nilles. I've heard other people call her Anika Nilles, Nilles. A lot of different pronunciations. I've gone with Nilles because I think it's cool. But in fact, I just watched a little video clip of Getty and Alex with Anika where they described her as Anika Nilles. So I guess henceforward we go with Anika Nilles, and it doesn't matter all that much. What matters is how much effing pressure was Anika under a couple of nights ago when Rush at long last returned to the stage in Los Angeles, a packed out arena of multiple thousands. And I can't even imagine the pressure that she must have felt, because this is, without question, the highest profile drum chair that a drummer can have at this moment. We're talking about a beloved legacy band with a 50-year history whose dearly departed drummer is considered by many to be the greatest rock drummer in history. Most assuredly one of them, an absolute icon. And along comes Anika in a wide variety of pressure positions. It's not just that you're going out with that band under that name. It's not just that you are going to have to play these songs, play these parts that are so beloved. Anika's got the wrinkle, and I don't want to make it about this. Anika's got the wrinkle of being a female drummer. And I know, in the year 2026, that shouldn't have to be a distinction, but it still is. You still hear she's pretty good for a girl. This kind of BS still exists out there, and you and I don't see the world that way. We don't want others to see the world that way, but the reality is a lot of the world still sees it that way, and here's Anika having to add that layer of pressure. It's like she's carrying the banner for all female drummers everywhere, and there's probably a certain segment of the population that is rooting for her to fail, rooting for her to mess up somehow, and I hate to deliver the sad news to those folks, but if you were looking for Anika Nilles to fail, you are still looking, because she absolutely friggin' destroyed. And of course she did. She's Anika Nilles. The reason that Getty and Alex picked her for this chair is over Mike Portnoy, over Danny Carey, Marco Miniman, folks who are certainly capable of the gig. Anika is a pro like all the rest. Why it should surprise anybody that a drummer at her level managed to pull off the gig pretty much flawlessly. She's a pro. She's one of the best drummers on earth. That's why she was chosen. And I saw a really nice post by Mike Portnoy of Dream Theater just singing her praises. I've seen her praises sung by a wide variety of high-profile drummers since the footage has been released over the past couple of days. And of course she crushed it. Why on earth wouldn't she crush it? She's Anika friggin' Nilles, for crying out loud. But she did. And there was a wonderful moment. The first footage I saw of the show, and it's no great surprise, is the infamous Tom Fills in Tom Sawyer. Those are the ones. That's probably Neil Peart's most famous few bars of music. The signature fills in Tom Sawyer. And the first clip I saw was an audience clip of Anika just flawlessly executing those fills. And then there's just a huge cheer. Just an enormous cheer erupts after she nails those things. And from a certain perspective, you might see that as condescending. I don't. I just see that as Rush fans embracing Anika. And yeah, she absolutely flawlessly crushed those fills. Everybody lost their minds. It was friggin' great. And then she's just got this smile on her face. Wonderful. But I can't imagine the pressure. How much friggin' pressure stepping up for the first time to fill that unfillable throne, to take on that chair. You can't do that unless you are a supremely confident player. Confident in the way in which you play the drums. All right? Anika is not Neil Peart. That is not a judgment. That is not an assessment of ability. They're two different drummers. No two drummers play exactly the same. And so asking, and this is to the credit of Alex Lifeson and Geddy Lee, because I don't think they asked her to be Neil Peart. I don't think they asked her to mimic stroke for stroke what Neil Peart played and the way he played it. Her feel is different. Her inclinations are different. My understanding is that the signature stuff got played like the signature stuff. The fills in Tom Sawyer, for example, were executed as Neil executed them. And then she was given some license, given some rein to be Anika Nilles on much of the rest of the music. Fantastic. And by all accounts, she was amazing. But I can't imagine the pressure. I mean, once in a while, I still go up to play and feel nerves. I anticipate feeling them later this week when I perform in Sweden with Fresh Breath on a festival stage. Certain amount of pressure, certain amount of self-consciousness. Not even a drop in a Pacific Ocean of the pressure that Anika must have felt going up in front of, 15,000 people and the world watching in the most high-profile drum chair imaginable. And a certain segment of the population hoping for you to fail. And wow, did she just nail it. And of course she nailed it, but I can't imagine. And I just saw today, this being Tuesday, I saw something online that suggested she had a pair of Neil Peart's drumsticks on stage with her, just sitting on the floor of the drum riser. And what a nice nod that is. There was a ton, as you would expect, there was a ton of Neil Peart in the show. You obviously have to pay tribute to the professor. You obviously have to pay tribute, but it was not done in such a way as to make Anika a stand-in or an afterthought. I think she was entirely embraced as Rush's drummer for a new time and perhaps a new feel or a new sound. And whatever pressure she might have felt, she absolutely was such a pro, such an experienced, confident pro, and she just destroyed. Everything I've seen, she was fantastic. What a terrific player. What chutzpah, what cojones, if I may use that term on a Tuesday afternoon, to step up and do that the way she did. Fantastic, and good for her. And I hope that she continues to get all of the love and the attention that she's been getting so far. Because she's bloody well earned it, man. Just the sheer courage, the sheer ovaries to step up into that role and to deliver that way. Absolutely fantastic. There was a post that she made after the show was over. It's like, I can't believe what just happened. I think she's as much in awe as anybody. How did this happen? Have I said that good things happen when you put yourself out there? There's Anika Nilles just going about her business being Anika Nilles, putting out YouTube content, making her own records, being a festival drummer, right? Being a clinician, being one of the great drummers on earth, one of the great technical drummers on earth, one of the most creative drummers on earth. And then the call comes. It's like whoever got the Primus chair. It's just like, you just don't know. You just don't know when opportunity's going to knock. You just don't know after you thought for sure that you are done touring in Europe. You just don't know when one of your bands is going to say, oh, by the way, we're going to play a festival in Sweden. You just don't know. And so you go about your work, right? You keep doing your work and good things happen, right? There's a wonderful lesson in all that, but there's also a lesson in putting your nose to the grindstone and learning those parts inside and out and then going up there and executing. Fantastic. But as I said, there was a lot of Neil. And in this circumstance, the song that comes to mind is Time Stands Still. And they paid, I think, a number of tributes to Neil Peart throughout the show. But there was a profound one with Time Stands Still. Now, I love that song. That song from Hold Your Fire, 1987. One of the songs that proves that Rush could really write kind of a pop hit, kind of a radio hit, kind of a hooky song. Because a lot of Rush is prog, right? Nerd rock. And a lot of it is very technical, some of it almost inscrutable. But they also had the ability to drop hooks on you when necessary. And Time Stands Still is that. Was, I believe, the first single from Hold Your Fire. Very radio-friendly song. Very catchy, very hooky. It's one of my favorite Rush tunes. And so, before that, before they played that song, there was, of course, the video screens going. There's a tribute to Neil Peart happening. And there's a voiceover pulled from a Neil Peart interview. One of the things he said that really stood out to me, he said, don't leave spontaneity to chance. I mean, he was known for being kind of, I don't know what the right word is, kind of disciplined maybe as a drummer, wrote very precise, meticulous parts, executed those parts as precisely and meticulously, bit rigid. When I watched Neil Peart play, my sense was that he was a bit rigid, even though he continued working. He worked with Freddie Gruber. Much later in his career, he switched from match grip to traditional grip, started playing a lot of swing, kept working on his technique, kept working on his fluidity. And so I think he was always working towards a more open, more fluid style. He struck me as a bit rigid, this is not a complaint, it's just an observation. Certainly not a criticism. But he had this person, and he's called the professor, and you think, well, he's very rigid and meticulous about it all, and he was. But his whole thing was he could still work within that structure. There was still room for spontaneity within the structure. And so he said, don't leave spontaneity to chance. Have your platform, right? Know where you are, and then execute a bit of spontaneity. There's a quote that ran in this tribute before they played Time Stands Still. And he said, my ideal life is not a well-ordered environment, not a quiet room with everything in its place, but rather my dream is to have a well-packed suitcase and to be on my way somewhere interesting. In drumming, as in life, it's the same. You want to have a well-packed suitcase or a well-stocked toolbox and then set off on a journey somewhere strange and beautiful. Apropos for me at this moment, as I get ready to pack my suitcase and head off to Sweden, strange and beautiful place, to play a couple of gigs with fresh breath, but I find that this is an interesting approach to life. Right? It is the novelty. It is the new experiences, the new learning, the new people, new places. Neil Peart was a remarkably, notoriously reserved person. Didn't like the spotlight, didn't like living in the limelight, didn't like to do meet and greets, didn't like to do interviews, didn't like to have a lot of people around. That didn't make him a homebody. Didn't make him a homebody. He loved the road. He just wanted a bit of privacy. He wanted to experience it in his own way. And so he says, it's not a home life with everything in its place. It's a well-packed suitcase, right? That is not leaving spontaneity to chance. He's got the platform, the well-packed suitcase. Then we begin to look for spontaneity. Then we begin to look for new experiences. And we know, those of us who know a little bit about Rush, how he always had his motorcycle with him on the road, right? So Rush would have the bus, motorcycle was packed, And then they'd get out on the highway and pull over, and Neil would get off the bus, get on his motorcycle, and ride. Right? He had the spontaneity, but he also had the structure. Right? This is the tour bus. This is where we're going. Got my motorcycle with me. I'm going to just get off and ride to the next gig. Right? And that was he liked his time to think. He liked his time to ride and experience. And I feel that as a person who spent a little bit of time on the road and absolutely loved it, even if I wasn't in exotic places. Just experiencing a new town square, a new venue, whatever it is. I love this novelty of the road. I like this heightened kind of existence. Neil Peart is saying, have that, have structure, but then jump off from it. Go and experience life, because that's where the real beauty is. That's where the real fruit is. And he most certainly did that. And then they played Time Stands Still. And the whole thing was just a tribute to Neil Peart. And that song, I'm going to read the lyrics to you because they are our lyrics of the week. And it is our song of the week. The lyrics, Time Stands Still, it sounds like a lament. It sounds like nostalgia. You know, it's like, I don't want this moment to end. But it's not really about that. It's about noticing. It's simply about being in the present. It's about noticing what's around you and not missing it, because we miss so much of life. Especially, as I understand it, he wrote the lyrics to Time Stands Still because he was on the road all the time. And he had a family and he was missing what was happening, and he had friends and he was losing touch with them. He's on the road all the time. And it's just like this wonderful, novel, very accelerated life. And that's what the road is. The road is very strange. The road is a time warp. Life is very accelerated. Life is very heightened. And it's very easy to miss it because you're busy. It looks as though you're not. I mean, they say that musicians enjoy the 1 hour on stage and then get paid for the other 23 of waiting around. But the reality is, even though you're technically not working for all of that time, it's like breakfast call at 7:30, van call at 9, drive to the next place, get out, load, in my case, load in, set up, sound check, back to the hotel, shower, get ready, come back, play the gig, tear down after the gig, pack up the van, go to the hotel, next morning, 7:30 breakfast call, 9 o'clock van call, and on and on and on you go. It's structured, it's busy, it's accelerated, and there's a ton of novelty. Like, there's a lot of information coming in. And it's easy to just miss it. It's like, where are we going today? Where are we going today? When are we setting up? What are we doing? What are we playing? Is it time for the show? Okay, let's do the show. Okay, we got to pack up. We got to go. Okay, I'm tired of going to bed. It's very easy to miss the road as it's happening. And then if you're out there for 6 or 8 months, like Rush probably was back in the day, it's very easy to miss your whole real life happening. Your family back home, your friends back home. And there came a point where Neil Peart was just looking around saying, I'm just missing a lot. I need time to stand still for a second just so I can take stock, just so I can notice things. It's very easy to live your whole life just being busy living it and not really noticing. And they say, stop to smell the flowers. That's what they're talking about. Stop and acknowledge and notice the present as it's happening. Otherwise, it's just memories flying by the van window. So much of touring is just landscape going by the van window. And you don't even notice it. You don't make a note of it. And then you get to the end and you're like, what happened? 3 of my tours in Europe with Sarah, I did the tour blogs. That's how I remember so much of it. The one tour that I didn't blog, I remember much less of it because I wasn't noticing a lot. There was a moment or two that I made a point of noticing. But it's like you don't notice life going, and then all of a sudden you miss it. I have this experience right now as I'm in this weird state of flux with my marriage ending and the future not quite here yet. And I sit in the backyard with one of my cats, and I can just look around and I can see I've been in this house for 22 years. I can see stuff from 10 years ago, 20 years ago. I can picture cats who are no longer with us scampering across the backyard. I can see things, and it makes me sad. It makes me feel melancholy and nostalgic, and it's the realization of just how quickly it all goes by, and how much you don't notice, and how much you're worrying about the future, feeling something about the past, how much you're anticipating, how much you're reflecting, and missing the moment. And I'm calling these old moments to memory, and I'm seeing them, and I'm feeling nostalgic. I'm feeling wistful about when there was more time. These moments that are gone, these creatures that are gone, parents gone. And you think about it, and a lot of that is just not being in the present and experiencing and appreciating the moments as they're happening. So the lyrics of the week are Neil Peart's lyrics, and they are to Time Stands Still. I turn my back to the wind to catch my breath before I start off again. Driven on without a moment to spend, to pass an evening with a drink and a friend. I let my skin get too thin. I'd like to pause no matter what I pretend, like some pilgrim who learns to transcend, learns to live as if each step was the end. Time stands still. I'm not looking back, but I want to look around me now. Time stands still. See more of the people and the places that surround me now. Time stands still. Freeze this moment a little bit longer. Make each sensation a little bit stronger. Experience slips away. Experience slips away. Time stands still. I turn my face to the sun, close my eyes, let my defenses down. All those wounds that I can't get unwound. I let my past go too fast. No time to pause. If I could slow it all down, like some captain whose ship runs aground, I can wait until the tide comes around. Time stands still. I'm not looking back, but I want to look around me now. Time stands still. See more of the people and the places that surround me now. Freeze this moment a little bit longer. Make each sensation a little bit stronger. Make each impression a little bit stronger. Freeze this motion a little bit longer. The innocence slips away. The innocence slips away. Time stands still. I'm not looking back, but I want to look around me now. See more of the people and the places that surround me now. Time stands still. Summer's going fast. Nights growing colder. Children growing up, old friends growing older. Freeze this moment a little bit longer. Make each sensation a little bit stronger. Experience slips away. Experience slips away. The innocence slips away. Neil Peart described that song as not about nostalgia, but as a plea for the present. A plea for the present. In fact, he warns a little bit against nostalgia. I'm not looking back, but I want to look around me now. It's very easy to get lost in the past, right? It's very easy to get so locked up in what went before that, again, you miss what's happening now. And then how much of your life experience just goes by the wayside. You get wrapped up in the past. He's saying, I'm not making this about nostalgia, but I do want to just stop and look around. How often do we do that? I did it once on the last tour stop on the Sarah Europe tour in 2021. We were in the town of Rees, Germany, Rees. It was the last gig of the tour, like 6 weeks on the road. And I had a hunch. I had an inkling that this was probably going to be my last Sarah tour, probably going to be my last Sarah show. And so I had at that moment 4 tours behind me and a lot of other gigs with Sarah and a lot of memories across Canada and the States, Europe. And it was coming to a moment. It was coming to an end, and I had that suspicion. And so we had gathered in that room, about 100 people probably, and the vast majority of them were our very good fans and friends. They had come from the Netherlands. They had come from different parts of Germany. And so it was a room full of, a really cool room, by the way, full of familiar faces, people who had become friends, people who are still friends 5 years later. And it was the fine point. It was the summary. It was the exclamation mark on 4 tours and playing with Sarah for 4 or 5 years at that point. And I just had a hunch it was the end. And so I made a point of being on stage that night and just looking around, just making a mental picture of this moment, of this time, of these people. I'm not looking back, but I want to look around me now. And it's such an important and edifying thing to do. And I was thinking of that over the course of the past weekend, because I was very lucky to have 3 gigs last weekend with 3 different acts. There was a gig with Lindsay and the Lonelies. There was a gig with the Carly Thomas Band. There was a gig with Fresh Breath. And so all of my regular bands I was able to play with. And I've been playing with all of those bands for a long time. Carly for over 10 years, Lindsay for over 10 years, Fresh Breath for, I don't know, it's 4 or 5 now. These people have become my best friends, some of the most important people in my life, people with whom I have shared a lot of wonderful experiences, a lot of bizarre experiences, a lot of adventures. There's just been a lot of stuff, and people have gone through stuff in that collection. We've had people get married, people get divorced, people get separated. We've had children born in. We've had me separate. We've had people come and go, in and out. We have shared our lives over the past 5, 10, 11, 12 years. Myself and all of those people in those bands. And I was thinking about this on the weekend. We had a chickenwire gig, the Lindsay Band. If you've been listening for any length of time, you know that my dear friend Ann Menez coined the term, or at least familiarized me with the term chickenwire gig, which is a reference to Roadhouse, when the Jeff Healey Band, I think, is playing behind chicken wire to protect them from the crowd, to protect them from the patrons. And that became the term we'd use for a gig that was just effed up. Something's effed up about this gig, man. This is a chicken wire gig. The hall is no good. There's no stage. The sound system doesn't work. There's no audience. Something's just effed up about this gig. It's chicken wire. We had one Friday night. Lindsay and the Lonelies booked to headline, I guess technically, the 4-City Music Week celebration here in L-Town. The kickoff event for that. Big stage downtown, terrific. The Lindsay Band is headlining the show, terrific. And something was faulty with the wiring on the pop-up stage. And the power kept going out. So there are 2 bands on before us, and in each case, the band's playing along, and then power cut, no lights, no sound. All you can hear is drums, because everything else is running through an amplifier, and it's just shut off. 10 minutes, whatever, find a way to get the power back on, play, power off again. It happened several times through the first couple of bands, and everybody was good-natured about it, and you have to be in these circumstances, because that's live music. Weird stuff happens all the time in live music. I've had power go out before on a similar stage, but they cranked the generator and the show went on. In this case, faulty wiring. Something was effed up in the wiring. Nobody could quite fix it. So it was a lot of plug in and hope. And by the time it came to the Lindsay Band, we go up, we get a couple minutes into the first song, yoink, power goes out. Oh, here we go again. Power's back. 2, 3, 4. We were doing a great job of picking up exactly where we left off, or very close. Like, we had our stuff together, actually. It's like, okay, top of the second. 2, 3, 4, bang, off we go. Bridge, bang. Second song, power goes out. Third song, power goes out, power goes out, power goes out. And then we just stopped. It's like, we're not doing this. This is absurd. And so, how disappointing. When we were set to headline this thing, we'd done a lot of rehearsing to get ready for it. We had our outfits on. We lugged our gear downtown. We'd set up. We did the whole thing. And then the show was just a bust. And so when the power went out for the last time, Lindsay just took her guitar, sat on the edge of the stage, and Don and Jeff and I gathered round, and a small little pocket of people came up, campfire style, And we played one song, acoustic, and thank you, good night. Because that's what pros do. We try to give the audience some kind of experience that's memorable. If it can't be us playing for real, here it is. Sit on the edge of the stage. And you would think to yourself, I bet that's never happened before. And you would be wrong. Because it has happened before in Lloydminster, Saskatchewan. Lloydminster, Alberta. I believe the town straddles the provincial boundary. Carly and I, many years ago, drove 11 hours from Calgary, 8, 11, 10, 9, a long damn drive, to Lloydminster to play this joint. And we got there and somebody had junked the sound system. So we set up, did the whole thing, and nobody could make the sound system work. Now, legend says that the week before they had fired the sound person who was running it, and he trashed everything before he left. Just unplugged stuff, put stuff in the wrong spots, whatever, did something to trash the sound system. And so nobody could make this thing work. And so there we sit. It's like we just drove like 9 hours to get here. We're tired, we're hungry, we're hot, and this is what we walk into. And so that was Carly's idea too. There was a small group of people there, a handful, and they gathered around the stage, and Carly played acoustic, and I just sang with her, and I had my box drum with me, and we just did that. And it's like, in some fashion, in some way or the other, the show must go on. So it wasn't the first time that the sound system wouldn't work, and the band sat on the edge of the stage and played for whoever would listen. But, point being, great story, right? That was a FUBAR gig. That was a chickenwire gig, but it's one we'll remember forever. And we gave them a little moment. And, I took the moment to notice, to just appreciate my bandmates who, under those circumstances, would have been justified in stomping off and raising a stink and being difficult. They didn't. They were good-natured. They smiled. They sat down and they played a song. And so I just took the moment to appreciate those people. And then the next night was the first of 2 Barn on the Farm festivals this year, hosted by Fresh Breath. 150 people, sold out, terrific. Carly Band and Fresh Breath were on the bill, so double duty for me, and I love it. And so I drove there with Carly. Carly Band set up and played with Ken the Zen and the Scientist of Sound on guitar, Carly, myself, and just this really warm feeling. Spending that time together, playing that venue together, which is a great little room, people listening. And we haven't played together since last year, basically, because Carly's been away. And so it was us getting back together, and it was just this moment to appreciate each other again. Appreciate these people that we play with, appreciate this moment, appreciate the music, appreciate the gift that is music to all of us. And then closing out the night playing with Fresh Breath, practicing our Sweden set for all of so many of their fans and friends who were in the audience. And everybody loved it, and they were dancing, and we played great. And again, it was just taking this moment to make time stand still and just appreciate the people on that stage with me, appreciate the people in the audience, appreciate the sheer fact of being able to perform music together. This was all running through my mind. Time stands still. I'm not looking back, but I want to look around me right now. And I'm imploring you, gentle listener, I am encouraging you to take a moment. Look around you now. Look around you in any given circumstance at the people you appreciate, at the opportunities you appreciate, at the experiences you appreciate. Really take them in. I intend to do that. We are leaving shortly for Sweden. It's a very quick in and out. We're only there for 4 days, 2 performances. It's going to be a whirlwind. Very easy to miss it. Very easy to miss it in the travel, in the novelty, in the meeting people, in the playing the sets that we're playing, and just trying to handle all of the schedule. Very easy to miss it. And so I'll be making a point of stopping, not looking back, but looking around me. And I'm imploring you, if there's a lesson this week, to take a minute in every circumstance, every day. And just look around you now and appreciate the good things that you see. The people at your work, the people in your family, the people who are your friends, the people you play pickleball with, the people you golf with, the people that you play cornhole with, the people that you play music with or listen to music with, the people and the places around you. It's so easy just to miss them. So easy to miss them. And I want you not to look back, but to take a look around you. All right? Today, tomorrow, every day, just at a certain point, take a look around you. Appreciate the scene. I intend to do quite a lot of that as we go to Sweden and have that experience. It was profound when they were playing Time Stand Still because they turned that into a tribute to Neil. Because it is wistful and it is melancholy. And despite his warnings, it is a bit nostalgic. And there were some really interesting, profound and poignant visuals happening on the big screen behind them as they were playing. There's like Neil. It was very ethereal. It's like Neil was in the sky, like in the clouds, dark nighttime clouds. You would just see kind of a fleeting glimpse of Neil Peart's face or his drum set, right? There was a point where it's just an image of the drum set, like an AI image, I think, just sort of levitating there with nobody behind it, Neil's famous drum set. And then really profound, probably jerked a lot of tears. There was a riderless motorcycle, right? Just going through this landscape. It's nighttime. It's the desert. This motorcycle and just layers deep because it was really the Ghost Rider. It was the riderless motorcycle, but we know the ghost of Neil Peart is riding it. And we know he loved his motorcycle. And riding the motorcycle became such an enormous part of his story. And his book, Ghost Rider, which is where I'm pulling that from, it was just an allusion to that. Not just Neil and how much he loved to ride between gigs on his motorcycle, but the healing journey that he took on his motorcycle. And if you haven't read Ghost Rider, I'm going to recommend again that you do, because it is just a profound and poignant book about this experience of getting on his motorcycle. His daughter died in a car accident, and then something like 6 months later, his wife died of cancer, and Neil Peart was destroyed. Everything that was good in his life, apart from maybe Rush, was gone, but the heart was ripped out of him. This is the mid-'80s, and he just fell apart. He just hid himself in a cabin, I think in Quebec, kind of rural Quebec. And there were drums there that he didn't touch, and they got dust on them. And he just hid. He just secluded himself there in his grief, in his darkness. He told the band he's retired. He just can't do this. He's done. And he just disappeared and went into hiding. And then one day, he just woke up, and he looked at his BMW motorcycle, and he packed up and got on it and started riding. Didn't know where he was going, didn't know why he was going. Just started riding, and it became this odyssey of a 55,000-mile motorcycle ride all around North America. And the book Ghost Rider is his retelling, Tales from the Healing Road, his retelling of this journey, a lot of which was awful. Got into a couple of accidents, got into some real problems, met a zillion characters along the way, and it's just the story of a year and a half and 55,000 miles of riding to heal, riding away from his old life and trying to find a footing in a new one. And it feels as though it was kind of a test, like the end of this journey. Is it going to be the beginning of a new journey, or is it the end? Like, what's going to happen with Neil at the end of this? Does he want to be here anymore? We know how it came out. Along the way, he met a photographer who would eventually become his new wife. He did find his healing. He did resurface and write this book and rejoin Rush, and on they went. It was this odyssey. And there's something very romantic. It's awful, but there's something very romantic about getting on the road and healing. If you listen to both of my episodes with Kay Howell, exactly the same thing. Breakup, a parent dies, and she did not go on a 55,000-mile motorcycle ride. She went on the cruise ships. She went for 3 years as a performer on cruise ships, healing from it all and emerging on the other side. Hey, she just got married a couple weeks ago. It happens. If you are in pain right now, a journey can be a wonderful cure. I'm going to read a bit from Ghost Rider right now. Ghost Rider is how Neil described himself as he was on that journey. He wasn't Neil Peart anymore. He was just a faceless rider behind a mask, the Ghost Rider, under cover of night, riding along, escaping the past, anticipating possibly a future. This is from the very end of the book, so I hope it's not too much of a spoiler. But he's come to the end of the healing road, and he's reflecting on it. And he says, before I knew it, I was working on the impossible task of translating all that material and all that I had survived into this book. It was another long process, sometimes painful and always difficult, but it seemed to help me lay my ghosts to rest. The healing continues. With that in mind, I look back to another turning point, a late afternoon soon after I moved to Santa Monica. I stood alone on the Santa Monica Pier looking out to sea, thinking of all that had happened, and how miraculously my life had turned completely around again. I thought about all those restless, often miserable miles, 55,000 of them, I'd covered between the dock on Loch St. Brutus and that pier overlooking the Pacific Ocean. And the distance my little baby soul had traveled on that healing road, too, from sitting on that dock with a cigarette and a scotch and seeking meaning in a pair of duck-shaped rocks across the lake. It occurred to me that all of my characters, in quotes, had found their separate redemption there, too, and that I was gradually reuniting into one focused entity. The Hollywood party boy, Elwood, was happy to have moved to California, like he always wanted to, and to be romancing a beautiful woman every single day and night of his life. John Elwood Taylor, the wandering blues man, was content to hang up his blues and sing a happier song for a while little Gaia, our 14-year-old inner girl, was all aglow with misty emotion and romantic poetry. Only one of us had no place in this sunny new world. The Ghost Rider. As I stood on the Santa Monica Pier, the unofficial end of Route 66, the Ghost Road, I saw that it was a fitting place to entertain the sudden realization that the Ghost Rider's road ended there too. A hermit no more, a gypsy no more, a splintered personality no more. I was growing into one man again, though no longer a man alone, with joy and meaning in my life, passing the days and nights in a place where I belonged, beside the woman who loved me so well, Carrie. I had found my place of rest and redemption, and the Ghost Rider's work was done. He could keep on riding now, right off the end of that pier into the sunset. And if the music stops, there's only the sound of the rain, all the hope and glory, all the sacrifice in vain. If love remains, though everything is lost, we will pay the price, but we will not count the cost. And if you read the whole book and you come to this moment where the Ghost Rider is gone, where he's been released, he's been set free, that's a poignant moment because he's worn this cloak through the whole journey. The Ghost Rider was the character he put on. It was the costume that he put on in order to cope. And then you develop this affection for the concept, for the character of the Ghost Rider. This ghost under cover of darkness riding the motorcycle towards, hopefully, some new and better future, some new and better life. And then you get there and it's like, you have to say goodbye to the Ghost Rider. We don't need him here anymore. And then off he goes. And it's like losing a friend. It's hard to give that up when the time comes. You know, you've built this identity around this character, this concept of the Ghost Rider. And then you have to let him go and step into a new life. For me at the time, it was oddly romantic, that whole thing, and it was sad that the Ghost Rider had to go. But there he was, as they were playing Time Stand Still the other night in Los Angeles, just a hop and a skip from Santa Monica Pier, where he realized this. There was the riderless motorcycle going through the desert. The Ghost Rider rides on. And there's something powerful about that, too. And I'm getting wistful now. And this is probably close to half an hour longer than I thought it was going to be, because I got a lot to do, man. I'm going off on an adventure with a well-packed suitcase, but not letting my spontaneity get ruined. So I want you this week, gentle reader, gentle listener, to sign up to my Substack so you can be a gentle reader, Semi-Eloquent podcast.substack.com. I want you to stop and take a look around you now. You don't have to look back, but stop and take a look around you and just appreciate a sunny day. Appreciate a starry night. Appreciate the people in your life. Appreciate where you live. Appreciate just the good things in the moment. Make yourself a little catalog of those good things to remember, because it's important, because you'll miss life if you don't. I've been guilty of that for 52 years mostly, and I'm determined not to do that now. Question of the week. Are you excited about Sweden? Answer: yeah, I will be. I'm always a basket case right up until the moment we get in the van, or in this case, Ken the Zen and I are catching a bus to the airport. Once everything is out of my hands, then I let the details go, and then I become excited. Previous to that, I'm looking at just sheer details. What do I have to get organized? What do I have to pack? What's going to happen? Where are we going? What are we doing? How do I maintain things at home while I'm away? And then once all of that's out of your hands and you're in the van or you're on the bus or whatever, then you get excited, because I can't control any of those things anymore. And so let's take a look around us now and go have this great adventure. I'm going to do that. And yeah, I'm excited, and I'll be more excited once we get going, man. Until then, I'm a basket case. Very quickly, please consider a rating and review on Apple and Spotify. I haven't had one. I keep asking you, but I keep not getting them. I don't know what it's going to take, but it would warm my cockles if you would leave me a rating and review on Apple and on Spotify. Help me in the algorithm. Fight against these celebrity podcasts that have so much name recognition and publicity and budget behind them. I'm an indie, man. I'm trying my best. It is not easy to get heard, and ratings and reviews help. I want to thank you ever so much for listening. I want to thank you for your support. Semi-Eloquent podcast.substack.com. It is free to sign up, and then you get a newsletter from me every week. How are you going to turn that down? How are you going to beat that? Go listen to Rush. Go read Ghost Rider. More than anything, take a minute this week to look around you and just appreciate. I'll be back soon, hopefully with some fun and exciting stories of being back out on the road for the first time in a long damn time. Until then, take care. Good things do happen when you put yourself out there, and I will talk to you on the other side.